Welcome to Seller Sessions. I am your host today, Sharon Evan, and today I'm so excited to have on with me Michael and Jamie from the Endgame Network. Hey guys!
Hello everybody. How are you, Sharon? It's
Hey Sharon.
It's good. It's good to be on the other end of the microphone for a change.
I know you guys are so used to doing the interviewing part of it when you guys should really be the ones being interviewed because you're so smart and awesome.
No, appreciate it. No, it's good. It's good to be on here. Thanks for asking us. And yeah, as you know, we've had you on our show in the community a few times, and we love having you on. And also touch base on Clubhouse a couple of times. And yeah, we really love the connection that we've made with you guys and Danny as well. So thanks for having us on.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on. I also know that you guys are super busy. Just in case people here don't know you guys, do you guys want to quickly give a brief introduction to who you are? Jamie, you can probably go first just because you're the closest to me on my screen. And then a little bit about you. And then we'll get into our subject today. Yeah,
no problem. So just yeah, Michael and I have been friends for a little while, and you know, both Amazon sellers, both very successful with what we've been able to achieve in a shorter period of time. We got together last year and created the Endgame community for, you know, basically for Australasian sellers to connect, be open source, talk about you know, different service providers, different aspects of the journey. There's a lot of groups we feel that a little bit of disconnect. I mean, I know there's internet, and I know that there's, you know, sellers overseas and groups overseas like yours that, you know, a lot of us are all in. But there was issues that we had in Australia with, you know, that Australians deal with, you know, with being sellers in the network. And so we made that safe place for people to be able to connect, you know, network, and really just share our ideas and philosophies, and pretty much be able to talk about whatever we want to talk about as sellers in the country, and have that safe, open space, like I said. But Michael, you might be able to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, and our intention was just to give freely and just give value and just give from the heart, because we know what an amazing business model Amazon is. So we just gave everything. We have shows every fortnight, and we've done free workshops and stuff. So we just love, I suppose, in our DNA, helping people. And I think the community's responded to that, because we've got a really engaged community, you know, 3,200 members, but we've done some stats, and our engagement in terms of like comments and likes per post are just through the roof. So it's a really, really good, happy community that's doing some, you know, really good things.
I think that you guys have one of the most engaged groups that I've seen since starting this in 2016. I've seen a lot of different networks and groups and things like that. And, you know, you go live like hundreds. Oh, I first went live with you guys, I think there was like 350 people. And I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Expecting to like get on a. So yeah, you guys have built an amazing community. So congratulations to you guys. And also last year you won on Seller Poll for Facebook group, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, best Facebook group was Seller Poll, which was really, really cool to win. We're putting a lot of hours in, and we still do, for the community. And, you know, it's our full-time gig doing this, and our Amazon businesses and obviously other projects and stuff like that. But, you know, like Michael said, our intention is always the people who they're and, you know, allow us into their lives for, you know, shows and bits and pieces. We've also got a private mastermind with members in there, which is a paid for area, once a year sort of thing, mastermind, which yeah, we just love doing. That's just, you know, people who just want to get a little bit more piece of the action, and we touch base more often, and we're involved in that community a lot more. But yeah, it's just really cool. It's rewarding. We love helping people. Like Michael said, our intention was to give as much as we could for free and get as much content out there that we felt people needed to know about in this business. from our experiences and also from what we'd learned through the communities, and everyone gels their own way of doing things. I think everyone's got their own style. There's no really right or wrong way to do the business. We're all going to get the same result, but everyone's got their different flavors. And so we love hearing from everybody. We're just like sponges, and then we just give our interpretation of that, what's worked for us, and great results that you see coming out of the groups and stuff like that. It's awesome.
So that's really awesome, and I applaud you guys for that as well. In a very short amount of time, you've got far with it as well. So congratulations on that as well. And today's subject is my favorite subject in the whole entire world. Product selection, and I'm sure there's a lot around product selection. Development, choosing the right products is not just about product research. There's many other things that you need to do in order to evaluate a product. So this is probably, I think, the second show ever where I didn't have notes beforehand, because I was like, you guys all vibe really well together, the three of us. And I know that we're all extremely passionate about this subject. Because when I spoke at in your network, we also spoke about the subject. So I feel like we're just going to go with the flow. I'm excited
for sure.
This could go anywhere.
It could go anywhere. Let's just go with the flow. So product selection is one of the hardest things that Amazon sellers go through. And in my experience, it's not just newbies. It can also be people that started selling 4 years ago and the game has changed, and they'll find themselves in a place where they need to change the way that they select their products today. So
true.
To sort of a starting point for product selection, what are some of the things that you guys have seen now that you've also, because you're no longer in the bubble of your own products, right? You're now outside of the bubble, networking with other people and the coaching and stuff. So what are some of the top things that you guys have seen? Let's start with the bad and then get to the good, right? That you guys have seen that people make mistakes on when it comes to product selection, and then the follow-up will move on to stuff to make sure that and what you've seen that people have been successful on. So what are some of the mistakes that you guys have seen, and the way you think that people need to adjust now when it comes to product selection?
There you go for it, Mick.
Look, sadly, we've seen plenty of different products that in our eyes wouldn't stack up. I mean, if I could be, I suppose, from the 50,000-foot view looking down, I believe that the products that we see that, are kind of like mistakes, I believe they're really general Me Too products. Like they're your cheese boards or your water bottles, highly competitive, saturated, and then second to that, they'd be what we call a subjectivity play. So it's like if you're selling a jigsaw puzzle, right? You're at the mercy, if you've got the elephant pattern, you're at the mercy of only attracting the people that like the elephants, but everyone else has got choices of the stars and the universe and stuff. So it's like makes it really hard from the get-go. So from my perspective, I think it's just people not willing to find those under the radar products or niches that they can walk in and dominate that are quite quirky, if I could say that. But general products in, from what we've seen, the basic cheese boards and whatnot is kind of how I'd sum that up.
I think like one thing to really touch on is what we've seen over the last 12 months is that the only difference between someone who can take a screenshot and show it and they're doing their, 50, 100K a month to someone who didn't get there is only the product that they put their hand on is different than that one. What I mean by that is there's no difference in the people. I feel sad when people don't give the model a go because they've potentially had the wrong brand or wrong product or the wrong way of doing things and it didn't work out and they just say it doesn't work anymore. Because what we've seen in the past, there's no difference in the people. There's no different work ethic. It's just that person put their hand on and what that person put their hand on. Maybe there was a different understanding, or maybe sometimes people have just got lucky. You just don't know, because sometimes I've seen people as well that as they go for their second and third product, like you said, they've had to change or adapt. And they haven't been able to have that same success. So I think really if I can be blunt, what we see all the time is people come in and say, this pattern isn't on Amazon, and I think they might like this pattern. Then it's like what Michael talked about, that subjectivity, where it's taste driven, not where it's a psychological buy, where you're convincing someone to buy something because of characteristics that your product has that the market's missed. I think that's really important, because it's a psychological thing. I went to the shops today, actually, and Michael, I bought some jumpers for my kids, and they were 50% off in a like an outlet store, like some branded stuff. And I walked in, I'm like, these tops are like $70, but they're $35. And Michael said to me when I came out, hang on a minute, just stop. Why did that happen? Was it just price? And I'm like, yeah, it's just price, but there was brand, it's the top, it's the this, it's that, and it was cheap. So I think the whole package, the whole psychological thing around a buyer is really into me. And cool. We call it USP, everyone's heard of it, unique selling proposition. What have you got in your offer that the others have missed? And I don't believe that interpretation is a different pattern or a different color, or maybe sometimes it could be. I'm being pretty general, but do you know where I'm coming from? Like
100%.
Yeah.
What do you
I think it,
sorry, Mike, what do you then think, because it is product dependent, it is niche dependent.
It is.
But what do you think makes a good differentiation point or a good USP, in your opinion? What does that then look like? Is it functionality? Is it the way it makes the product feel? Like what do you think then is?
I think if you can nail problem solving with products or enhancing functionality, I love that part of the product process. That sort of differentiation, if you want to call it differentiation, and also if you think about it, going off the shelf with products is a pretty easy in. You know what I mean? I can get this, and maybe I'll change the box up a bit and make that appealing. But what you said there was material and something else. It's very hard. It's
the process of the product.
It's very hard to sell that in your hero shot. Different material to the others. You've got to make sure your USP in your hero, second, third, upper image gallery is nailed, and you can sell what you're promoting as USP in those shots. I think that's really important. Sorry, Mick, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's all right. Look, coming from a tech startup background, and I think we can all agree that most businesses that succeed solve problems, and there's a problem out there that's painful enough for people to want to pay to solve it. So really what we get into when we do our product research and our unique selling proposition, we look at the psychological thinking that goes on during a transaction. So if you think about it, like when someone wants to buy, for example, a laptop stand, right? A thought enters their mind, right? Which is a desire to buy something. And the next part of it's a search. They go on Amazon. They're not looking for a product. Well, they're looking for a product, but they're using a keyword, okay, to find that product. And when they look at page one, the only person they're thinking about is themselves, because that's how we are when we shop. We're selfish and we're thinking, what's the best thing for me? So when we're scanning the pages, we're subconsciously looking at what's going to benefit me the most. And then you need to have that thing in your product that captures their attention to solve that motivation in their mind to want to buy yours over the competitors. And that's the key. So if you can find that part of the product where you can allow people to identify with what you're trying to solve and make their life easier, we have a saying, What has everyone missed on page one that you know the customers need? If you can nail those products and come up with something that you know the customers need that all the competitors have missed, you'll win the game.
Yeah. I'm smiling a lot because it's interesting you guys are talking specifically about problem solving, because I have a product research and sourcing course, and just this weekend I did a call with my group about how to find products through problem solving. Yeah. I think you guys lost me for a second. Can you hear me still?
No, we got you. Got you.
We got you. Yep, we got you.
I warned you guys in advance that it sometimes happens. Okay.
We've got you.
All right. So we spoke specifically this weekend about problem solving, and I did a whole webinar live on how to find products through problem solving. And like, I feel like you guys are like, we're just in the exact same vibe when it comes to this. A lot of people in the, I had someone on last week and we spoke about email marketing, and then he said a sentence that I'm really against, which is he said product market fit, right? Which is, you find the product, you find who to market to, and you fit it into that. And I've always been the opposite. I'll first of all find the markets. I'll first of all find the buyer avatar, the problem, what the issue is, and then I'll find what products they need, right? That specific market, that specific buyer avatar. And then I'll make sure that I'm able to make the best product it is. So I think that problem solving and really digging deep into who your buyer avatar is and understanding them is the biggest mistake that I've seen most sellers make. Instead, they just sell random products. And it's interesting how more and more people like us talk about this, but the mentality is still to just sell like a random product rather than to dig deep into who you're selling it to. What do you guys think? I'm really interested to put you guys on the spot. What do you guys think about the sentence that we don't sell products, we sell keywords?
100% agree with it.
Look, it's all.
Let's debate about it.
No, that's cool. Look, I think you go, Michael.
Yeah. Well, everything's, I suppose, initiated on Amazon from a keyword. So to me, Amazon's not a marketplace, it's a search engine. So when I go to Amazon, and if I've got a desire, the next part of the process, if you can dissect the purchase, is a search. What's the primary function of a search? Primary function of a search is to enter a keyword to find what you want to purchase. So, yeah, that's. I think we're selling keywords or whatever you were mentioning before.
They're both right and wrong. Like there's no one right or wrong. It depends what you're doing and how you're doing your product research, I reckon. Because I think even what you just said before, Sharon, about getting into a niche and finding out what the problems are and really delving deep and then coming up with the product, that's a great product research technique. That's a great product research technique. If you're stuck for ideas, jump into groups, jump to niches, see if what you can find. That's exploring. I also like to jump on Amazon because Michael and I, we've created like 3 or 4 brands and done, product reveals on workshops and done from start to finish of an idea through to the USP to launch, like the whole strategy, the brand, the logo. We've done just raw builds for people to see our example. And I like going onto Amazon and, typing in, our last one was a portable rain barrel. Right. And so we went into that niche. Now I live on a rural property. I live on a farm. We didn't intentionally go there because that's what it was. But I had a bit of an idea about, storing water. When we went to that keyword, portable rain barrel, what we saw was so many things that the product had missed out on, but we didn't go and see what the avatar needed. I guess it's cheating because I knew a little bit about it.
Because you are the avatar.
Yeah, there was plastic fittings. We did stainless steel fittings. There was no level water gauge, so you could glance at the tank in your yard and see what the water level was. The catchment area was too small. We put a big sieve and a leaf catcher. Like we came up with USP. There was no branding in the niche. They were just all plain. We came up with an awesome brand, Hydro Camel. Put it on there and like camels and storing water, and had a bit of a spin on words and made an unbelievable logo. Had 3D renders done, presented it. Then we went into the next level that we operate at, shipping, optimization. These things were long. We halved it. You know, we got screw-in legs to hold it so we could halve our packaging. It's just been commercial. Everyone takes practice. I think it's really important to exercise that muscle and not stop doing product research. We've got our brands. We've got our businesses. We were doing product research yesterday just to come up with more concepts. And I think you need to keep moving. It's like a songwriter. You can't stop writing songs. It's just in you. You just come up with different riffs. You come up with different tunes, melodies. And I think that if a songwriter stopped, then, you know, that could create, you know, that old-fashioned saying, writer's block. I don't want to have writer's block. I don't want to have writer's block. So if I find a product on Amazon and I can see clear opportunity, then, you know, I got lucky doing it that way with that technique. Maybe if I'm in a Facebook group and I'm checking out things with your technique that you just said, Sharon, I say, hey, Mick, I just jumped in this Facebook group. There's 50,000 people in there, and they kept saying that there's a problem with this product. That's another technique. I don't think there's anything right or wrong.
I do it differently. What I meant by problem solving is that I come up with different problems that exist, and then I understand the buyer avatar. I dig deep and research the buyer avatar and what it is that they need, and then I'll go and see, is it on Amazon? What does it look like on Amazon? And can I build a brand around it? But I have two questions that came to my head while you were talking, and I don't want to forget them. The first one is, do you guys work more on brand building? So selling to, like, brand building meaning, because brand building is, in my opinion, a lot more than just selling a product to a buyer avatar, but also the way that the product makes the person feel and makes them want to be loyal to your brand rather than just loyal to Amazon. Do you guys do more in your own brands? Do you guys do more in brand building as well and sell to the same type of buyer avatar, or do you believe more in selling random things online and just making them, you know, different? Not that there's a right or wrong, because I know people that do both and many successful in both, but what is your way?
Michael, you've got like the perfect brand for that. Your stories, your brand stories, like the reason why you're doing amazing.
Yeah. To answer your question, yes, absolutely. I think it's, and Jamie's coined the term of Amazon sellers being micro brand builders, and I think that's really, really fitting for who we are as micro brand builders. So yes, we do focus on building brands, absolutely, and to the point where we weave our story and our expertise into the brand. And that's what we've done with our brand as well. So just from our backgrounds and whatnot. So absolutely. I mean, I think you have to, because if you've got a goal of exiting, you need to have that brand wrapped around it. 100%. Absolutely vital. In my
100%. We just love the whole brand building process.
To me, part of it is once you understand who your buyer avatar is and what the problem is that you're solving, etc., it's a lot easier to then make more products for that specific buyer avatar. And also in my experience, before you build that momentum in Amazon, look, I specifically am in beauty and in baby. And my beauty products are products that you have to buy every single month. If you don't buy them every single month, the effect won't continue working. All our beauty products are in that specific concept. So for us, we have people on their 200th order, right, and the same type of product. So it's a different type of product. And then in our baby one, it's very different. So it's interesting to see how different it works, right? But I feel like in my experience, once you understand who your buyer avatar is, it's a lot easier to find the products for them compared to the types of sellers that are selling random products. But I will say that I have someone that I know, a good friend, 7-figure seller, who's going through an exit right now. And he has in his catalog 12 different products. Each one is just they're different products. It's not a brand specifically. They're each selling, like, one's in home improvement, 3 of them are in beauty. Like, they're all random products. And the person that's going to buy their brand, their store, right? Because it's a store, their store is buying everything. So I think, but that's why I'm careful, because there isn't a right or wrong, but I was interested to see in what direction you guys sort of teach people to go down.
Definitely the brand building stuff.
Just going back to the keyword and sort of how it all starts. I suppose coming from a drop shipping background, we had over 700 SKUs being sold on Google Shopping, shipping straight from China to the purchaser. And we were uploading 5 to 10 products a day, like new products, and we're just testing. We had scripts running on Google ads that were looking at ROAS and everything. And if it was hitting a certain point, that would kill the ad and all sorts of things. And for me, in terms of product research, I'm all about speed. And I think it comes from having that drop shipping DNA a little bit. And I don't drop ship anymore because I think there's better models than that. So when I work from the keyword first and trying to find a product, that allows me to find the keyword, get the relevant data wrapped around it from Helium 10 or whatever software program is being used. And I'm able to assess that really quickly as to whether I'm going to devote more time to it or not. And if not, if it doesn't sort of stack up, we move on. And if you think about the other way where you find the problem in the avatar and then try and wrap something around that, when you do go and do your research, technically sometimes it may not stack up because there wouldn't be enough volume. So for me, coming from that keyword perspective first, it gives me quick data. I'm able to make quick decisions. And if it doesn't stack up, I move on because I'm all about speed and efficiency in terms of being a product researcher.
My background is product development, which means that I'm willing to get into the nitty gritty, even if it means it's going to take a good couple of months, but I'm developing a very good product. That's my background before I started selling on Amazon. Like that's okay. What I've been watching my dad do since I was a little girl as well. And I have an own clothing store in Israel as well, so I know what it's like to have way too many SKUs and specifically work with clothing, which is like the worst decision I'd ever made in my life. Moving along, the way that I look at it is like this. In my opinion, we sell products and we find the right keywords to market them on, right? I've also coached a lot of people that have invented products, but we've been able to find keywords to piggyback off in order to sell that product to that type of buyer avatar. Not every product is fit. You guys know Chris Thompson from the Australian Seller podcast.
Chris Thomas.
Thomas, sorry.
Thompson. Yep.
As a client of mine, and Chris Thomas, sorry. We were on in Seller Sessions before I was a co-host, where we all spoke about failed products, right? And he had spoken about, it wasn't his, I think it was a client's, about a type of product that you put it on top of your phone, and then it has this thing to make the kid look at it or whatever. It was some sort of invention that someone had invented, an Australian seller had invented. And it just wasn't, and they were talking about how it just wasn't the right place to launch it. It wasn't on Amazon because there was a lot of education to go into it. And you had to really click on the product first in order to understand what it did. So I don't think that every single invention should be on Amazon. But what I mean is, in my opinion, when it comes to the brand building, I find the niche, I find the niche and the problem. The first thing I do is I check out on Amazon. Is there demand for that? Okay, there is. Then I go in and I'm like, okay, I have to understand everything about that.
The
difficulty is, for me, and this is my experience, and there is no right or wrong, but my difficulty is when the starting point is just a keyword, you come up with and many times a product that is extremely easy to copy. There are some, you know what I mean? Whereas when you really dig deep, I give the example of the nurse niche. I may have spoken about it when I was in New York, where I went into Facebook groups of nurses, and I found out all this stuff about nurses, and I had this amount of products that I could come up with. So that's what I meant, in my opinion, on that. What do you guys think is, what do you guys think? What are some of the most important things to look into? Because when I created my course, I started off with the product research, and then I was like, you can't do product research without sourcing. It comes hand in hand because you have to have all the costs in place to know whether a product is viable or not. So what are some of the processes and things you evaluate on a market analysis, competitor analysis level when it comes to product selection? It's a big question, but
it's a great question.
It's important. It's very important.
Look, at the end of the day, we can all agree that if something doesn't work out as far as your margin, you can't do it. Like, we're not here to lose money. We're not here to, test things out, so to speak, as far as things just may not work. You know what I mean? So actually, I'll take yesterday as an example, Michael, when we're looking at that product that we're looking at. We saw something, we thought, wow, the whole page looked pretty similar. We started coming up with different ideas. We thought, they've missed this, they've missed that. We can put that, we can do this, we can add that. And it just started, the creative juices started flowing. Because we sort of started self-validating between ourselves, the next, we had to look at average price points and all the things that you do. And, okay, they're $28 or whatever. What are we doing here? We've got to see what these things are worth. We do go to Alibaba and just have a look. We do some filters to see if we're looking at legit factories. We see what they're worth. And look, Alibaba is, it could be anything. It's like pick a ticket and, they're putting prices up there. You just don't know. But I think it's important to have a little bit of a look, you know what I mean? And maybe compare 4 or 5 decent looking factories with what they have on offer before you are going to go out. I mean, we all have to eventually contact someone. What's this actually going to be worth? But in a validation, like Michael was talking about for speed, we want to go, okay, they're $28 and on Alibaba, they're $3.50, $4, $5, $6, some of them. We're in the ballpark. And then we use our commerciality and how we negotiate, how we reach out to people in different ways. And the first impressions, because, we've all done this for a while, how we reach out to suppliers and get respect from the get-go to see they're not going to give you their best price. But, you're going to have a really good conversation, really love your factory. You've heard Kian say it a million times. You're going to reach, I love the certifications you've got. It's exactly what we're looking for. I've had a look at your website. It looks fantastic. You've got 100 employees. It sounds really perfect fit. Are we able to talk about prices or get a sample? We just want to get in our hands. I like your cup. We've got one.
Where's yours?
It's not here, actually.
Mine's over there.
Basically, we want to get a vibe on quality samples in our hands. Maybe we might talk about what we could see on Alibaba. Is that the price? Oh, no, that's just on Alibaba. It's really, $3 or whatever. But I think if you start getting excited in the creative process, add this, they missed that. We can put a pocket. We can change the zip. Imagine if the logo was there. Is anyone else? No one else is doing their brand like that. And you start having these really cool conversations around a product. You start feeling it in your gut. Then you can go to the next level and invest time, like Michael said, because it's all about speed on how much you're going to go into spending and investing time with suppliers. But up until that point, look, we all have to be fair income. I mean, I know you know that term, but
now I understand what Michael meant by the speed. I took it in a different direction. So what you mean is, where do I put in my time on? I don't want to waste time on a product that I could have told straight away didn't really have potential, right?
Exactly.
Like, you want to make sure that for that you're talking about, you have a quick screening process, whether it's in your mind or whether you have some sort of system that you've built on whether, do I go in depth now into in-depth product research, or is it not really viable and let's move on to the next product?
Exactly.
Now I get what you mean, and I do the exact same thing, and I totally agree with it.
Yeah. That's what I think you meant, Michael, as far as investing our time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think coming from a keyword perspective allows you to make that quick decision by looking at all the data quickly and making that gut feel.
I think that it needs, yes, and in my opinion also no, because it's sometimes, and I'll explain why, because sometimes a keyword can mean one thing, and then you get into understand, everything can be quick. You can quickly go in, read a few blogs, understand who the buyer avatar is for that, how you want to differentiate that. And then, you may go into Alibaba or whatever it may be, start finding different sort of price points. And in today's climate, with shipping being, container costing around $18,000, $19,000, it may be a bigger product, whatever it may be. It may be like, okay, there's great demand here. My USP is really smart, but there's a cap for how much I can also sell this product right now. And it may not be a good time to get into a product like that, which leads me also into my next question, which is, has your product research methods and the way that you look into products in the current climate, because as product developers and as people that create products, we have to adjust all the time, especially also with Amazon. So with shipping cost, raw material cost, lead time, Amazon inventory levels, the need for 3PLs, all these things that have affected our cost, has the way that you're looking at potential products changed at all? And if so, what? You can tell I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, look, it's a great question, and from my perspective, and potentially, Jamie, I'm sure you'd agree. To be really honest, no, because we've always we've had this holistic approach to everything. So we don't just look at the product, but being an Amazon seller, it's not like you're making one decision at a time. When you're looking at a niche, researching product, your mind's making 400 decisions at a time. It's like being a racing car driver. You're looking at that car, this, your brakes, your gear stick. It's like it's on. So we look at everything in terms of, it might be too big, shipping problem, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So we're looking at everything from a holistical perspective. And at the end of the day, what drives I suppose, pumping more time into the product is the price point and then the margin. Like, it's got to be commercial. So the answer is no. I think the way we do it, where we can improvise and adapt to whatever the environment we're in shows.
Yeah, I agree. My answer is no as well. Hasn't changed how we look at things. We're really commercial. Like everyone's being hit, but Michael summed it up perfectly. We just adapt. We've got 400 things going on in our head at the one time. And of course, one of them is shipping costs and that, but there's also different techniques to get you through. You don't have to fill up containers. You can do different things and different shipping methods at the moment to just weather the storm, which we've all had to adapt,
Yeah. Also, too, I'll add that the main decision isn't made after you find the product, because potentially you might deal with a supplier, get samples, and, sometimes you have to can a product 3 or 4 months in as well. So there's always that protection. We're always thinking, is this go or no go, Like, we're making sure that everything's stacking up before we pull the trigger with a PO. So it could be pulled just before, if the supplier's just behaving weirdly and we think, it's a bit of a risk, we could pull the pin. So it's not just one decision and then we go right through to PO. It's always assessing as we go to making sure that it's going to stack up and protecting our investment, which is de-risking it.
And you would agree, Sharon, that having been around the sun a few times in the business, you can get a gut feel straight away how things are progressing, because you've got the automatic check boxes happening in your mind. This has to happen next. How did the QC inspection go? Yeah, that's good. Is there any red flags at the moment? No, the PO went well. Production time, lead times went well. What about my shipping quotes now? What am I doing? How am I optimizing? What are my cartons at? What are numbers in my cartons? How is that going to look at the US side? What are my inventory levels? Am I going to store some, send some? Am I doing a smaller order, wearing a little bit of this margin for a bit to weather this storm? Can I ask the supplier to keep some in China? Like, what are we doing here? Which way is the goalpost moving? It's always adapting to the climate.
I'm going to say, Jamie, that I think my internet's playing up, so I half heard what you just said. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep. We can hear you.
So it's just that I'm now frozen, but you can hear me well.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, you guys are totally frozen on my screen. There you are. Okay, I see you now. Okay, cool.
It's not just me.
Yeah, no, it's not just you. It's me. I don't know why, because it's never this bad on my side. So, but it is my side. Okay, I half heard what you just said. I'm not going to make you repeat it again.
Yeah, that's cool.
But but I will say that I'm guessing what you said was that you'll find a way to adjust. If you found a specific type of product and you're looking further into it because of the climate changes, there are always things that you can do to get around it. Is that sort of the direction you went in?
Pretty much that's the direction we went in, and always having that healthy margin to be able to weather every storm.
Cool. What I'm going to do is I'm really quickly going to switch my network because I literally can't hear you guys. So,
Okay,
and I'll edit this part out. So I'm quickly going to switch.
Just then, were you being a natural entrepreneur and
cash flow up front, because sometimes you need to buy a lot. I'll edit that part out and now we'll go back into it.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I was just saying that my internet was playing up and I didn't hear what you said, but I think that I got the gist of what you were saying. Look, my opinion is because I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, so I'm hearing people, I have seen a lot of people where their products just aren't viable anymore because of the amount of, because there is a cap for certain types of niches. Meaning there's a cap for how much you can actually get away with selling this product for. And yes, there are things that you can do. You can try and create a bundle. You can try and optimize your packaging to bring it down as much as possible. But for some products today, I have seen people say, look, it makes no sense to continue this because shipping prices isn't going to change anytime soon. And there are just some products that you can't get around not doing sea shipping. Not only that, I think that today when it comes to choosing your materials, when it comes to lead time, you need a lot more cash flow up front because sometimes you need to buy a lot more stock in advance since lead times have gone so crazy. So people that could have been, their product could have taken only 2 months lead time could suddenly be now 4 to 6 months. That's so much money that you need in advance. And not everyone, is going to be able to have that cash flow. So I think, in my opinion, it's like yes and no. It depends. I think that there are some things that you can get around, but there are some things that today I may look at and be like, okay, the lead time for this is going to take so long that it may make more sense to get into this product instead for now. You know what I mean? What do you guys think about it?
That's you being commercial, Sharon.
It's me.
Have you got an echo?
No, I don't.
No, that's all good. I was just saying that's you being really commercial as an entrepreneur. The things that you were saying just then were you being a natural entrepreneur and commercial because you were making decisions as you were talking and putting scenarios through your head. Maybe it's better for me to put my cash towards this. It doesn't make sense to be here. We're all experiencing that. So basically what I was saying before when you lost us was we'll always try and find a way to work out whether a product will go or not. If we've already got stuff, we've got stuff now that we have to make hard calls on as well. We're one of those people with one of our, hero products that if things don't get any better real soon, it doesn't make sense to sell it anymore. And that's been our flagship product. So it is difficult, but this really leads me into an area where, people that are just starting and they're putting in their 10, 20, 30 grand, you have to be careful. But if you can see your way through this with, groups like yours, groups like ours, where you've got the support, not that support's going to help a margin, but
no,
if you've got the right people around you guiding you through for the first time, you can still make it work. Because I can think of maybe 4 or 5 different techniques right now that will get you through some of this stuff.
I think as entrepreneurs, I think the really good entrepreneurs have that instinct, and that instinct is there that pops out from somewhere, and that instinct is designed to protect themselves to make money. So when you're looking at all these different products and shipping in the whole world, and there's, container prices and stuff, instinctively these things are popping up and go, hey, what about this? Yep. Well, what about this? it's just an instinct that we have to have for things to pop up so we can sort of think about them, assess them, and then continue. It's super important in this environment. And I think it's been important since day dot in terms of these types of businesses.
One of the most important conversations we had was about a month ago with Michelle Venton, Adam Runquist, and Tom Eyre on our show. And we asked the question, what you asked us, have your plans changed since all these challenges have been coming towards us as sellers? And overwhelmingly, nothing's changed, and they're actually more excited about the opportunity that's coming up. And like Adam, you've interviewed Adam, obviously. Every time something comes up that's challenging, he counts another competitor that wouldn't go through that fire.
Yeah,
and so that drives him, and that drives us too.
I know all of them are on a pretty good level, and also you guys. And I think that what stood behind my question was, I don't think that every single product is going to be viable the way it was before COVID. And the way that I've made changes, because I have, is I look at, it may make more sense to sell less unit at a higher price point, for example, meaning I may price the product at $79 instead of $39, and I may only sell 5 or 10 units a day, but I may make $40 or $50 per unit. But if I can find 5 products like that, and it means that I only need to source around 2,000 units a year instead of 18,000 units a year, and I can times that by 5 or 6 products instead of having this one product, and I'm diversifying myself, and I don't have, and my money goes further, meaning I don't have all this money locked into inventory, I will prefer to go down that route today rather than this one product that I may need to buy 20,000 units from minimum a year, right? And I may have 5 or 6 months lead time on that. And that's the way that I've made my changes. And the way that I make my decisions today and how I select the things is not the same as, because of lead times. It's when you have, I don't know how many products you have, but when you have a lot of products and suddenly each one has 5, 6 months more, or 3 or 4 months more lead time, and there's certain types of payment terms that you can have, but not everyone can get those payment terms all the time. Suddenly all your cash flow is tied up. You've got no money for anything else. So you have to change some, not all. I'm just saying there are some.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh,
you're making like absolute total sense. And it's a great strategy. Selling less for higher margin and stretching the cash. Like that's a total legit strategy. I love it.
And what you've demonstrated, Sharon, is the fact that's an instinct. Your instinct has told you, hey, like, we need to change a few things. And that's what I think great entrepreneurs have in abundance, where they can just feel what's happening and then make decisions based on that to protect themselves and make money.
I think it's part of being an entrepreneur, part of being an Amazon seller, and being a brand owner in general, is being able to also adjust. And I asked this question because I've seen a lot of people want to give up because of all these changes. Because when it gets rough, the easiest thing to do when you're not where you want to be yet is just to give up for a lot of people. And I'm like, no, keep going. You can just way to fix it. So maybe it's not this, maybe you need to do that. But that comes like a second sense to me. And also I know to you guys, because we're made out of the same type of, I don't know what you call it, material.
DNA.
DNA.
Not every single entrepreneur or a lot of these people that may be listening to us aren't necessarily born entrepreneurs, but they become it. You know what I mean? Over time. So I think that for me, product selection, some things have changed on that level, where I said, that maybe I'm looking at, well, where can my money go further, and not necessarily have to have $80,000 worth of stock in inventory now for 6 months, when I can instead have a lot less but have multiple products as well.
Michael's got a saying that he always says: improvise, adapt, and overcome. You have to do that.
I have to steal that from you, Michael. It's the best.
Steal it, please have it.
It's yours.
It's my motto. It's so important. And in terms of change, I mean, coming from a tech background and working with developers and building software solutions and stuff, and if there's any developers on watching this show, they'll know that when they come to a block where they can't do something, developers go into like workaround mode where they try and they Google and they try and work around the problem, and that's something that entrepreneurs do by I suppose it's probably their instinct is like, we come to an obstacle. We're not going, oh, no, it's too hard. I'm looking around going, okay, how can I get around it? Like what? I'm going to climb it. I'm going to dig underneath it. Like I'm going to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And if you've got that in abundance, you'll get knocked down, you'll get back up, and you'll find a way and you'll get there. It's just, yeah. Not, and it came up in that interview, Jamie, with Adam and stuff, in terms of if there was a problem, they just tried to work around it. It was just, they just wanted to break through.
I think it was Tom Ayer who said, to get to the front of the queue and alleviate lead times, he was paying 100% up front.
Wow.
Yep. See?
He was paying 100% up front and he was getting what he wanted.
I think that the thing about me specifically is because I've worked with so many sellers. We were talking about this before, and I said, coaching sometimes gets tough for me because I did too much, and it's I need to take a step back. But I think that they're not every single, like Tomer is on a different level today than others, so maybe others won't be able to pay 100% up front, and maybe it's the first time they're ever going to be working with a supplier, then it's like the worst thing you can do.
Oh,
but
it's the worst thing you can do.
There's always a solution. I have a thing that I stole from damn it, what's his name? Grant Cardone, which is everything is figure outable. Yeah. I say it all the time. Everything in my life, you guys know, we've all had our stories. We've spoken about different things we've gone through. It's not just business. It's everything in life. Everything's figure outable. And if you don't figure it, like if it's not this thing, you'll find a way to fix it, always. Yeah. And you have to have that mentality in business. Otherwise, imagine if after I failed my fashion store, I wouldn't have gotten into Amazon. I would have said, damn it, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Unless, I will say, unless you've got a product on Amazon with no margin, keywords with low search volume and no one's buying it, that ain't figure outable. Outable.
You're right, but you know what is figure outable?
To leave it.
To leave it and go to your next product and not be like, shit, Amazon doesn't work.
Yeah, true.
Where how many of us, we've all, I'm sure, I know you guys have to go, we'll wrap it up in a second. But how many products, not every single product that I've made has worked out. I'm sure the same with you guys. How many products have you seen also that you feel like, it was a really good idea, but it's not working? It happens. But you don't give up.
Seen it plenty of times. Yep.
100%. 100%.
Did you guys ever watch that podcast I once did when I talked about one of my failed products, which was a adhesive G-string?
No? I did say that. I did say it. Adhesive G-string. Nice.
That's the best.
There was keywords and it made sense, and it was the worst product idea I ever came up with. Anyway, this was such a fun show. You know what? I was thinking about. I'd love to have you guys back on maybe next month to talk about a different subject that I know that really, really passionate about. That I'm really passionate about as well, which is shipping optimization.
Yeah.
Optimization, which is like, I could talk about that all day. And I don't know a lot of people that love that subject. So I'd love to have you guys back on about that as well, because that can also have a huge impact on profit margins as well.
That's my day-to-day, that topic. So I can't wait for it.
Jamie's the Michael Jordan of shipping optimization.
We can have some awesome conversations around that, Sharon.
I'm going to get the popcorn.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Michael?
I'm going to get the popcorn and just listen to Jamie and you guys go off because it's
it's
awesome.
All right, guys. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you guys have your own next webinar to go to. I appreciate you, Jamie and Michael, but we'll go each one. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, where is the best place for them to find you?
Look, if you just look up on Facebook, check out Endgame Network, come and join the community. Everyone's welcome. Yeah, it's just a really cool platform to share, and it's got heaps of engagement, people willing to help and stuff like that. It's a really cool community where we obviously, like I said in the beginning, open source sharing, and yeah, there's no favoritism. We don't take kickbacks and all that sort of stuff, which is really important to us. And yeah, just find us on Endgame Network.
Michael, anything you want to add?
No, pretty much it. Endgame Network's a group. Maybe if people are bored and want to go to Instagram, they can follow me there at Michael Fenech. But yeah, other than that, yeah.
Michael's Insta's really cool.
I'm gonna follow you as soon as we.
Yeah, yeah. You let me know if you think it's cool. I don't know. I'm trying to help people, so we'll see.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's all good.
Cool.
Good stuff. Thank you, Sharon.
Do you have an Instagram? No,
I've just got Facebook. I've got Instagram, but I'm not really as good as Michael, but I'm getting there.
He's going to be a gun. You watch.
Yeah. It's all good.
Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm looking forward to bringing you guys back on in the future.
Yeah.
Isabella will be back on Monday, and Danny will be back on Tuesday, and I will see you all next Thursday. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you, guys.